Hi, I'm Dustin Mason from Performance Lexus in St. Catharines. And today I'm gonna go over one of the rarest Lexuses we have in the lineup, the LC500 Bespoke. And I'll show you what makes the Bespoke so rare and some of the cool things you can customize. And while I'm at it, I might as well go through the LC500 in depth as well. And a big shout out to the new owner, Moran, on his new LC500. Congratulations and thank you for letting me film it. Okay, so as we get into the LC500, the first thing you'll notice is the color. This is Ultrasonic Blue 2.0, and no, it's not exclusive to this Bespoke package. In fact, the IS I'm driving right now has it, but it is one of the most sort of attractive colors in the lineup. It always seems to catch my eye when I see it. And when you look at it up close, you will see a lot of depth, and I think a lot of that has to do with the extra base coat that it has. This color did originate on the Lexus LFA as well, which I always thought is very special. And it accents very well, not only with the LC, but with this Bespoke edition. And a couple of the options of the Bespoke edition is things like the blacked out garnish kit. So on a normal LC, there is a lot of chrome at the front and a lot of lighter grays. However, the way that this one is spec'd out is we have black garnish is what they call it. So all around the headlight is a lot darker and is more like a black with some metallic to it, I guess you could say. Like in these little sections here, it does, when the light hits it, there is still some metallic, but it is a lot darker. And while we're down here, I might as well just point out that headlight, because this was always something that I was super happy made it into production from the concept. And that is that daytime running light that wraps around into the headlight lens. It's one of those details that on the road, you probably wouldn't notice that it does it. You would think that it's just a daytime running light shaped like, you know, the Lexus motif, whatever you want to call it. However, this one does go into that headlight lens, which is super, super rare. And I do think it's one of those details that looks very sharp. And when you are admiring that very sharp daytime running light, you'll notice that inside the headlight lens, there is another little Lexus signature or Lexus shape, architecture, I don't know what to call it, but there is a little bit of like the F-Sport design in that headlight lens. Again, just for decoration, because why not, Lexus? Let's do some cool things that are hidden and extra work just for maybe people to recognize. Let me show you the grille. So usually, as you can see in my other videos, the grille is a lot more bright chromed out, and we see that a lot with our luxury cars. But with this one, we have it sort of smoked out, as well as the F-Sport style grille that the LC has, even though this car, don't forget, technically isn't an F-Sport. It doesn't say F-Sport anywhere on the LC500, although maybe one day. I don't know, we'll see. And this one, you'll notice, I don't have a front license plate bracket on, as per the owner, and no one has taken delivery of this car yet, so we're not breaking any rules. And because of that, you can really see that front end a lot more. And it has the classic Lexus emblem there on the front with a little front-facing camera, because all of the new LCs have that bird's eye view and the front-facing camera. And for some reason, I don't know if anybody else has realized this, it used to be that a front-facing camera, when you would look at it inside, like on the screen, there would be like a blocked, like little triangle on the top half of it. But now they got rid of that. So I don't know if that was laws or rules or something like that, but it did. Anyway, with that LC stance, we have that massive hood that has very attractive body lines that sort of go down from the corners, swooping into that grille, lined up exactly. And one of the things about LCs and Lexuses in general that I sometimes forget to point out is the engineering and the quality of build. Like all the seams and body panels, even though there's a lot of different angles and shapes, all line up very well with very little room for error or very little, you know, gaps or anything like that. But while we're at the front, I'm going to show you under the hood. And it's not just the, you know, amazing V8 I'm going to show you, which let's not discount that. But there is a couple smaller details that I sometimes forget to talk about because you only have so much time. So under the hood, we have that 5-liter V8 engine, and underneath here, oh, that actually looks really great with the blue. I just realized that. The fact that this car is blue has those strut towers that are also blue, and it just, when you pop the hood, it's just very recognizable. But under here, you'll see we have these little canisters on each side of sort of like, I guess they're kind of lined up to the headlight. And when you look closely at the canisters, it sort of looks like it's an explosive. And it sort of is. So what those canisters are, and we see it on a few other sedans as well, is because of the LC has such an angular front end, if they were to hit a pedestrian, which knock on wood ever happens, these little canisters will recognize that and actually pop the hood up to give the pedestrian almost like a place to land, like a crush zone or whatever, so that the pedestrian doesn't go flying over top of the car and, you know, hit by the car behind. Instead, it should stop it. So I haven't seen any videos of this actually working. I just read this in an engineering brochure sometime, but that's what there is those for. Also in the LC, we have some reinforcement body roll bars here. We can still see the engine itself, which is nice. Like, I like that Lexus didn't fill all of this open space with plastics and things like that. Instead, we can actually see an engine block there, which is super cool. Not that anybody who owns an LC is going to be working on their own LC. However, it is still, you know, nice to be able to access those things. Also, fun fact, none of the engine noise from this car inside the cabin is electronic. So it's not enhanced by speakers or anything like that. It's all done by the actual intake piping itself. But more on that later when I start it up. And now our second stop on the Bespoke train is these wheels. Now this is the 5-spoke Inspiration Edition wheel that you won't see on any other Lexus in the lineup, any other LC, unless it's a Bespoke. And about these wheels, online, I was worried about them a little bit. And even when we were building it with the owner, like, sometimes I felt like the pictures did it justice, and sometimes I was worried that they were gonna look too tuner-ish. And I'm allowed to say that because I was a tuner and still am kind of with my own sports car. But I was worried that it wasn't gonna suit this car because this is a luxury coupe, but I was wrong. This wheel is super gorgeous. It's a matte black finish, and with those like double 5-spoked wheels, you can really see the brake behind it, which I like. So we have this 6-piston brake caliper with Lexus, the word Lexus sort of engraved on it or decaled on it. And the Lexus is almost the same color as the top hat of that big brake rotor. So overall, when the car is moving, it looks super sharp because you can see a lot of that brake. And when it's parked, the contrast between that satin black and the blue look really nice. I don't know if it would look great with every color. However, I do feel like this wheel on maybe a white or black car would be really, really sharp. Maybe the black, I'm on the fence about, I'd have to see it. But definitely on a white car with some black accents, it would look awesome. With the blue, it looks amazing, and it was a really good job. Also, fun fact about these Michelin Pilot Sport S5, I think is what it is, or 5S, I don't know, is you can actually feel it. So when you touch your tire sidewall, which I don't recommend doing very often, it's almost like, I don't want to use the word satin, but it's almost, I don't know, it's kind of soft. It's like a little pillow for your fingertips as you rub against the sidewall of your tire. Well, hopefully the curb doesn't ride against the sidewall of your tire, but for your hand, that's totally okay. So if you've ever had the pleasure of viewing an LC500 from the side profile, you're gonna know exactly what I'm gonna talk about here. And the silhouette that this car has is extraordinary. And I think the ultrasonic blue color really accentuates that because, for one, it's gonna catch your attention in traffic, and two, it's gonna keep your attention because of the shape of the car. So, as you can see, zoomed out with those 5-spoke wheels, it ties in nicely with some of these black accents that we have. Even though it's a different black, so the black accents, like underneath this window, is like a piano black, and that's capped off on the top of that mirror as well. And then we have a little bit of chrome on the top of that A-pillar. And don't forget, this A-pillar starts here and just sort of continues on to the back. And Moran, being the enthusiast he is, has had this PPF'd. So this pillar, along with some other parts of the car, is actually PPF'd because he wanted to protect it from any type of stone chips. Now, I will say the chrome on the mirror and on the top of the roof, I do sort of wish was smoked out like the chrome on the front grille. However, I don't hate it. I think blue and chrome go well together, so the fact that it's not blacked out or smoked out like the front, I think that's totally okay. Another thing to note is the gorgeous interior that I'm going to get into a little bit later, but I'm talking about it in the side profile because you recognize it, you can see it from the outside of the car. And even though a light interior, like the one I'm going to show you in a few minutes, is very, I guess, risky because of things like, you know, your jeans bleeding off into them, or, you know, for me when I'm eating chicken nuggets while I drive, it's going to make a little bit of a mess. But when you can see an interior from the exterior, or like as you approach a car, I think it just adds an extra level of luxury and class that if that was a black interior, I wouldn't even notice it to talk about it right now. Put it that way. Other features on the side profile, so we have these active, or I guess you could call them active. It's not like they're doing anything, but they are allowing airflow into that rear 275 wide tire and the rear brakes. So there is an active aero happening there. We have the unique door handle design, which sort of just pops up when you walk up to it and you just touch that little dimple there. And you can even see a little Lexus emblem on the top of the handle. They work very flawlessly. I sort of wish, a part of me wishes they used this door handle for more Lexuses, but also sort of like that it's unique to the LC. And then you just sort of press it again and it locks, and then you can even see the little locked, I guess it's like a little light on top of the door panel to tell you that it is locked. Silhouette-wise, we're moving into that rear glass area. So there is a tiny little window because there is technically a tiny little back seat. And the owner decided not to fully tint that out. So that way you could still see in and enjoy that very light interior. As I mentioned, the rear is a 275/35 R21. So a nice wide tire on the back, especially with those Pilot Sports. But it's actually the rear of the car that I want to talk about the most. So as we approach the back of the LC500, there is something to do with a gorgeous car having a gorgeous back end. And on my last video, I was told in the comments that I really missed the mark on showcasing a very important feature of the back end of the LC. So without further ado, let me show you one of my favorite features of this car, which is these taillights. And the reason these taillights are so gorgeous and powerful is it's almost an optical illusion. As you get up close to them, or maybe even when you're sitting behind them in traffic, you'll notice it doesn't look like just your normal Lexus, L taillight. Once you see the outer L taillight, you'll realize, oh, there's one behind it, and one behind it, and one behind it. And it's almost an infinite amount of what I call a Lexus L taillight. And they do that to make it look like a military jet afterburner. And it's a series of mirrors and magic, and I'm sure Jeremy Clarkson could probably explain it to us, but I'm just gonna call it magic, and it's absolutely gorgeous and super unique. Think of it this way. When was the last time you were behind a car at the lights and you couldn't look away from the taillight because it was so gorgeous? Well, if you've driven behind an LC500, I guarantee you've noticed it. And if you didn't notice it, you should pay more attention, or maybe it was too bright out, because that is one of the most gorgeous designs in automotive right now, even when you compare it to things like a Lamborghini, a Ferrari, a Porsche, anything super high-end. This is very, very unique. So I really like it. Okay, the rest of the back end. So with the Bespoke, you can do things like add a spoiler, an active spoiler, which this owner decided to opt out of. But we have that black garnish appear again. So around these taillights, usually that would be a very bright chrome, and instead it's all blacked out, which again, I think goes very well with things like the diffuser that comes on the LC500. So this little rear diffuser kit is a piano black. Again, we have chrome. So we do have light chrome that's not smoked out. I don't know why Lexus didn't decide to do that to make it all uniform. I bet you a lot of owners for the Bespoke would probably just wrap those and make it smoked out anyway. But I don't hate it because, like I said, that blue makes it look really, really sharp. And then we have our quad exhaust setup inside there, which, by the way, in case you didn't know, The sound of the engine and the exhaust of the LC500 took 5 years to design, and it was designed by musicians. And it was designed by musicians to be in perfect octaves, so that as you accelerate, it's actually pleasuring to the ear as if it was a tone of music. So that's your destined fun fact of the day. Also back here, we have just a small, little humble LC500 underneath the Lexus emblem. And I say humble because it really is humble. I almost didn't even realize that these cars have that. In fact, I almost need to like go back and think about it to see if other LCs have LC500 in the center, or if people are just supposed to know, because sometimes that's how it goes. You're just supposed to know that this is an LC500. Another interesting design of it is the straight up and down signal. So this is something that I've in the past forgotten to, really sell or explain to guests. But again, a really good eye-catching thing when you're in traffic is the fact that that signal is sort of straight up and down instead of horizontally opposed, I guess you could say. Also back here, we do have a trunk, being the fact that it's the hardtop and not the convertible. It's not super huge, enough for the mat and the books that come with the car. And also a little box that I don't know what it is. That's interesting. This is a candid moment. This is a candid moment for anybody watching my YouTube channel right now. I think I know what it is, but I've never looked at it. We're just gonna open it up real quick. It's a tire inflator kit. So I don't know why I didn't notice that before. Maybe they had a spare tire before. They used to be run flats. It used to be run flats, that's why. Before 2024, the LC500 had run flats, and now it doesn't, so it has the inflator kit, that's why. So that's tucked to the left side, which probably makes it so it's hard to fit golf clubs left and right. I will say that, because golf clubs usually are really tight back here. Usually you have to put the driver in the front seat, and with that being there, it's gonna be a little bit even more tight. So there's the very small trunk. It's good enough for groceries, but you're not gonna put a ton of shopping in there, that's for sure. Another bespoke option, or bespoke, however you pronounce it, is the carbon fiber roof. So if you get up close and personal, you will see it is very high quality carbon fiber. It is a clear coated carbon fiber, which is good. It's not just raw. And it shows a lot of depth. And with that blue, it just really pops and shows luxury. Now you do sacrifice the sunroof for opting in for the carbon fiber. And it's not just any carbon fiber. This is the sort of thing that the LFA taught us as a manufacturer. And what I mean by that is when the Lexus LFA, the infamous LFA, was originally launched, it was to be aluminum. And halfway through they switched it to carbon fiber, and they had to design a loom to create the three-dimensional carbon fiber. And at the time, Lexus said, well, this will pay off in the future, and in future manufacturing, and for future cars. And it did, because that's where that roof is made. And as we open the door, we can see some more carbon fiber. And that is down here on the door sill plate. So that carbon fiber ties in well. Again, when I'm approaching or about to sit in, I'm 6'1". So yes, I realize not everybody's as tall as me, but as I'm approaching the car, I can see this carbon fiber matching that carbon fiber. And the rest of that carbon fiber is like the matte finish, which I think maybe it's just more like a vinyl or something like that, because that's where your feet are actually scuffing. But that one plate that says Lexus actually is real carbon fiber and looks gorgeous. And I just think that's, again, just a very luxurious flex that Lexus didn't have to do, but I'm super happy they did. So now you've probably figured it out that the interior is the white and blue interior, which is super rare, and I really, really like to spend some time in it. So we have that dark blue, it's almost like a navy-ish dark blue. It reminds me of a very nautical theme. And then we have some blue stitching on the white leather, as well as a blue Alcantara here on the armrest. And I was a little surprised to see the Alcantara because the rest of the interior does not have the Alcantara. The roof liner you can get as an Alcantara, but this owner decided not to for other reasons. But nonetheless, this is a really, really gorgeous touch. And because of it being Alcantara, it gives that blue an even more richer look, in my opinion. Then we have the floating door handle up here, and almost the same katana shaped aluminum trim sort of swooping down on that door panel. Some more white at the top of the door panel, which makes me a little nervous because I want to make sure it stays clean. I'd probably be a little bit afraid to drive with the windows down, but that's okay. I'm sure it'll clean up fine. And then some more blue sort of at the top where the vent is. Okay, so sitting in this white and blue interior, I immediately texted the owner when I drove this just to the gas station to say that I've driven LCs for a number of years, and the experience of this one, because of the color, really shocked me. I didn't realize that a car could feel different because of an interior color to this extent. And what I mean by that is, as I was driving, in my peripherals, if I'm even saying that right, all I see is this gorgeous combination of colors that even when I'm looking at the road, I can still sort of see and enjoy and realize I'm in something special. We live in a world that can be so bland when it comes to cars. And it's kind of nice that even something as mundane as running an errand to the grocery store can be different, because not just because of how a car drives and how it looks from the outside, but also how it looks on the inside. It changes the experience. So let me give you a quick tour. So I already showed you the door panel. We have this beautiful, gorgeous blue steering wheel where all of it is blue, the top, the bottom, the middle. That's accented by a little bit more of that same color of dark, black garnish, sort of like we saw on the outside of the vehicle. And fun fact about the LC steering wheel is it's unlike any other steering wheel we have in the Lexus lineup. Some of it is to do with the pressure points of where you put your hands and how it gets a little bit thinner, sort of where you press your hands, but also the paddles themselves are magnesium. So Lexus did not cheap out with that at all. In fact, when you look at them, you can actually see some brush marks on that magnesium. So it's not plastic. It's got a nice sort of ring to it when you tap your fingers against it, and so forth. The rest of the interior, so we have white in this main center console portion, and the sides are the blue. The top of the center handle is the blue. Most of the seat backs themselves is the white with a little bit of blue accented on the sides, and it's interesting that some blue is stitched with the white and some blue is stitched with the blue. So it just depends on where the panel itself is. There's also a very unique, one-of-a-kind feature of the inside when you get a Bespoke, and that is a plaque that says Lexus LC Bespoke Build. It's not numbered, it doesn't have a number on it or anything like that, but it does have that little plaque, and I think it looks really sharp and just reminds you that this is a special, special car. And the inside here, we have the sliding armrest, actually it's interesting that it still has this. This is like the little armrest piece that we used to use for the mouse, but now everything is touchscreen with the new Lexus interface. Touchscreen, we don't have the mouse pad anymore, and instead we have a little shortcut for the heated seats, the cooled seats. We have the power volume knob in the center, and that is in a very comfortable place ergonomically. So when you're driving, you can reach that very nicely. And then the bird's eye view button is just in front of that. The shifter, this is the classic new shift-by-wire shifter that we see in all the cars, except for it's just a little bit more substantial. So it sort of goes into gear and then snaps back in place. And it has a little bit of perforation on the front of it, I noticed. So the leather actually is a little bit different. And then you just press park to go back into park. Other than that, really what I want to show you in here is that gorgeous startup sound. So without further ado, yeah, even at idle, it has this quote unquote silencer on, so that when you're in the city and in neighborhoods and stuff like that, it's not going to sound as loud. But when you punch it, especially on like the highway and things like that, that's when that symphony of V8 perfect 5-year design of octaves really jump into place. And actually, I think maybe in sport, you can hear it a little bit more, but definitely under load, it's even more amazing. And I don't even know if you would need a radio if you owned this car. Well, probably you would. But most of the time I'd be listening to that engine because it's absolutely gorgeous. A couple other things to note is the headliner is the white along with both pillars. So because of it not being the Alcantara, this is the Bellezza or something like that. That is all white to match the white interior. The seat belts themselves are blue, so that's very Porsche-like, and I always love to see a different color seat belt. And some other just characteristics of the LC. We have, you know, an updated suspension to, you know, have less body roll. We even have, you know, little systems in place with the AVS so that if you're starting to experience understeer, it breaks the inside tire. All of those things that, you know, you'd expect from a modern car. But sometimes the brochure has too many things to talk about, so we don't actually see them sometimes appear there. But the car does have it. So once in a while, I do get taught a thing or two from my guests here at Lexus. And before I even caught it, the owner of this car noticed that it was shipped with just normal floor mats. And at first we thought they were white, but they're actually black floor mats. So we went ahead and ordered some blue floor mats to really tie the rest of this interior together, because the LC does come with this interior, even not bespoke, and it is shipped with those floor mats when you get it that way. However, with this one, it came with black floor mats. So that was something that we sort of added together. I could spend 20 minutes just talking about this interior and some of the drive about the car, but I wanted to really keep this video more about what made this car special with the bespoke build. So let's go outside and finish it up. So another option that you can choose on the bespoke is the seats. And no, I don't mean just the color of the seats. You can do a sport seat or a comfort seat. This proud new owner decided to do the comfort seat, which is still to me a sporty seat, but with a little bit extra comfort. So what I mean by that is the sides and bottom are all very soft. The bolsters aren't very aggressive. And when I mean aggressive, I mean like big and almost like applying pressure to you. And the panels themselves have less angular. The sport version of the seat is a bit more stiff, has a bit more huggy, if that's even a word, huggy bolsters, and more panels to like sort of have all these little angular. I really like these. I find even with the comfort seats, I don't slide around a whole lot. The sport seats are very stiff, and I don't mind those either, but the comfort seats are a great touring seat for road trips, for sure. So, the Lexus LC500. The best way I can describe it is like a custom-made suit, where you can make this car exactly how you want it to be in terms of color combination, seating, the wheels, accents like carbon fiber roof and the garnishes, and it just creates a little bit extra personalization and makes it a little bit more special to an already very special platform. In fact, the last video I did on the LC500 at this point, while filming today, is almost at 300,000 views and almost ended up on a very famous podcast that I'm not gonna name, but is a big deal. And to me, it just shows you that people love the LC500. We don't see enough of them on the road. And if I were to buy one, I would be doing the custom fitted suit, just like the proud new owner of this one. So let me know in the comments below how you would spec your LC500 bespoke, and let me know if I'm even saying bespoke right, or is it bespoke? I don't know. You'll let me know, I'm sure. Let me know what you think of this video, and of course, I'll see you in the next one.